Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kingdom of Kodiak. I'm Kodiak. With me today, Icthea from Pegasus Valley. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Thank you for coming on. Not to waste any of your time, let's go ahead and go right to the bare necessities. Sorry, Sin. Icthea, how long have you been playing Amtgard?
I began in 2012, so just shy of 10 years now.
Wow. Okay. All right. And where does your persona come from?
So initially I just kind of played and gave myself an Amtgard name, but as I imagine a lot of people did. Right now, the basic idea behind my persona is that I really like in speaking in D&D terms, I really like good aligned villains.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the idea is basically a lawful good, or depending on your determination, probably not quite good character who basically views situations too simply, leading to her kind of just going berserk in a way that probably isn't very helpful to the end goal.
Okay, that sounds great. I love it. Okay, so what award or achievement would you say you're most proud of receiving?
I'm not a very heavily awarded person, so I'm not sure I have like a strong runner for favorite award. In terms of what my highest award right now would be, that would be Order of Battle.
Well, it's tied. Your five orders of the battle, your 5 orders of the rose.
Yes, but the rose thing was a mix-up, and I'm still trying to get it cleared up. I should only be at 3.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, honesty there. So good on you for that. Okay. So the orders of the battle, then, it would be your proudest achievement or award?
In terms of awards, yeah.
Okay.
In terms of achievement, I'm more proud of I don't know how to say this other than personal growth on a level.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I've been going really, really hard on trying to train myself physically and trying to get better. I've been, between the gym and pelling, I've been training for about 2.5 hours every day.
Okay. Well, that's good. Awesome. Keep that up. Morgan and Sarai would both like to know what your favorite class battle game is.
Oh man, there are a lot of good ones. I'm a big fan of wider, more spread out games. I'm not sure how to summarize the difference in my head. There are a lot of games, at least at Pegasus Valley, that are kind of, for lack of a better word, can we swear on the show?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. There are a lot of games at Pegasus Valley that are, for lack of a better word, clusterfucks. And I really like quest games with multiple, quest style games with multiple objectives. And I really enjoy I don't know if I've necessarily been in a hard role play, but I enjoy softer role play moments, you know?
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, okay. We've got questions about role play coming later on. No spoilers here. But when you're playing those games, Icthea, what is your favorite class to play?
In those games and in the clusterfuck games, it's Warrior. It's Warrior 100%.
Fair enough. Okay. And Dever, of course, would like to know, what's your favorite weapon set when you're playing your Warrior in these games?
I typically go sword and board, mostly for lack of other equipment. I really like pull, and I really like the idea of shield and spear, even though it doesn't tend to work out very often because one-handed spears are not the strongest thing in the universe.
Okay.
I tend to find a lot of success with Florentine when I do it, but it's not something I enjoy that much, so I'm usually going sword and board.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, those were the bare necessities. Sorry, Sin. Let's get to the three questions KOK viewers been asking since episode 1. We're at 96 now. We're creeping up on 100. But let's see if we can get some more answers. Sir Glenolf should have a toaster from Calthrax delivered to me, given to Sir Alucard, then given to him. Does Sir Glenolf deserve a soda maker?
A soda maker. I think Sir Glenolf deserves a soda maker. I think he's earned it by now, honestly.
Okay. All right. Well, Stillhat would like to know, why is Stillhat the best bear?
I don't know if I would say Stillhat is the best bear. I think there's some good competition for the best bear, at least just in Dragonspine.
You know what? This is the kind of talk I like to hear. All right. Well, Freya would like to know why bears are so overrated.
I don't think they are. I think I like those.
So, it's not the first time on KOK, but it's the first time in a while. Not only are bears not overrated, but Stillhat, you're not even the best. We're not going to ask who the best is. We're just going to assume that there's a correct answer.
Yeah, I think that would cause too much political violence, too much riot in the streets.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Last of the three questions that we've asked since episode 1. What's your thoughts on Dragonspine getting a mobile pool and or jacuzzi?
Personally, I think it would be very funny to see like a group of Amtgarders in full garb, just like post-battle game, sweaty and tired as hell, all hopping into a jacuzzi, potentially ruining parts of their garb.
Fair enough.
Logistically, I'm not sure about the feasibility, but I think anything can be made to work, and I think some things are worth the difficulty.
There you go. Exactly. Sometimes it's worth the difficulty. Icthea, how would you fund a mobile pool and or jacuzzi?
That's a good question. I don't know if the coffers are the best place to go for it. So I think I say non-serious answer here. I think I say straight extortion.
Straight extortion. Well, as a member of the current coffer team trying to get some stuff ready for the kingdom, no, don't go to our coffers to try to get anything right now. Oh boy. Anyways,
yeah, I didn't imagine they were in the not in like a bad state, but I didn't imagine they were in like an overflowing state.
If we have to pay the COM the number that they projected earlier this year or late last year, we won't have any money in the coffers again. So, but we're at the point where we could pay them if they asked for it from the fundraising and Redbubble that we did on top of what we had in there previously. Yeah, Dragonspine's really coming together here to make some money. So that's good. But those were the three questions KOK viewers have been asking since episode 1. Let's get into your content. Still, I would like to know, Icthea, what is your weirdest flex?
That's a good question. There are a good number of answers I can give here. In terms of like, I guess in terms of weird as in like, that's not something you should be bragging about. I can say like, I don't know, one time I walked a mile uphill on a sprained knee.
Okay.
But
all right.
That's not necessarily, that was something I had to do, not something I should have done. So
yeah, well, I mean, I literally blew out my calf at GOTC the last time it was in person, and then tried to fight in a 5-and-up tournament and was told I wasn't allowed to. It's not about me though, KOK viewers, but I like the comparison. Anyways, Sir Alucard would like to know, you know Sir Alucard, right?
I do know Sir Alucard.
Sir Alucard would like to know, why is Warrior the second best class after Druid, of course?
So Warrior has a lot of strong points going. It has a lot of weaknesses too, but everything should in an ideal world. Warrior has a lot of strong points going for it that ultimately mean in an ideal world with the ideal warrior who is fit enough that the 6 points of armor barely matter to them and has really high quality armor, which is not something you'll my head came off frame, which is not something you'll see on the average Amped character. In an ideal world, that 6-point warrior just absolutely crushes every single martial class. There's nothing they can do really. Because ultimately warrior looks at the enemy team and says, I'm limiting the number of options that work to a very small subset, and if you have access to that subset, I'm fucked, and if you don't, you're fucked.
That's why Druid is the best, right? Because I can be the guy that offsets you.
Yeah, Druid can have an answer for every situation, and they can have all those answers on the same list.
Fair. Gotta love a Druid. But okay. Yep. So we're gonna talk in detail a little bit later about some of your skill sets, but because it's a bear pun question, I'm gonna ask this separate. Are you the torch bearer of any particular skills?
So I've fallen out of practice a little bit because between working full time and training 2.5 hours, I don't have very much free time. Mm-hmm. I'm not the only person who does armor work at Pegasus Valley, but I am one of the active players doing armor work at Pegasus Valley.
Okay.
And both maintenance and, when applicable, making your own armor is something I try and want to teach people, because armor is a whole. It's not as simple as like enchantments where you learn the incant and you buy or make a strip. Mm-hmm. It is a whole process, and you have to know how to maintain it. You have to know how to move in it. You have to know how to put it on, and you have to know how to make sure it fits, and you have to know what the right like loadout is for what you're going for. And it's not something that's impossible to learn per se. It's just not something that's like intrinsically known. It's something that takes real figuring out, and I think that's a very easy way for people to get pushed away from it.
Okay,
which is fair. I love Amped, but I don't expect the average person to invest a huge amount of time and a huge amount of effort into one class.
For sure. But with the opening of Paladin and Anti-Paladin, there are some more armored classes available, so the conversation of 6 points is a little different, but points still.
Yeah. I am personally a big believer in the idea that chain is basically the ultimate Amped Guard armor.
Okay.
That pretty much like every class except for warrior, you can and maybe should be playing optimally by just getting chain. Like all the 3-point classes, chain is 3 points default, you're good. All the 4-point classes, just put it over a Gamison, you're at 4 points, you're good. The 2-point classes, get aluminum chain and then put it over a Gamison for 2 points. You're not only good, you're also really, really light.
So would you, if you had just bought chain, like you have chain armor, if you were wearing chain and you're going to play a class that was 2, would you just take the deduction and say it's only 2 points because you're only allowed 2 points in certain classes? Or are you someone who would be like, I will get a second set of armor for my 2-point class with the Gamison?
It's a little difficult to say, due mostly to the fact that I only play warrior.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I am definitely the sort of person who would be willing to have and maintain like 3-4 sets of armor. So
fair enough. Okay, we're going to go one question away from armor, and then we're going to come back to it real quick because I like to get Lightning and Beatrix's question here. What is your favorite garb that you own?
I own a very small amount of garb, funny enough.
Fair enough.
In terms of what I have, though, I have 2, like, I think dress is the only really applicable term.
Okay.
2, like, blue dresses that are both blue entirely by coincidence because one was just randomly given to me and one was made.
Okay.
And one of them is fleece, and I really like that one. That's very comfortable. I wear that outside of Amcard a lot of the times.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. All right. So we're getting back on our armor stuff. Dakinley had a question about what your favorite historical period armor is. And secondly, what's the most ridiculous fantasy armor style that you know of that is still functional?
So the first question is difficult, mostly because I like so much armor so much.
Mhm.
In terms of, also because I'm not sure if he means my favorite period of armor or my favorite armor that is period. So I'm just going to answer both questions.
Fair enough.
So in my actual favorite period of armor is probably like 1350s transitional period. I mean, obviously I really like great helms. But that style of decorative great helms with, I can never remember, torse, that's what they're called, with like torses with, I'm blanking on words today. You know the style of great helm with horns?
No.
Fair enough. The horns.
Maybe someone in the chat will hook us up with the answer, but yeah, I don't know. Wings?
Yeah, similar decorations.
Sure.
Just like
okay.
Decorations attached to the top.
Mhm.
That's really cool to me. And if that were more within my ability to wear on an Amcard field and get success out of, I probably would have something like that.
Sick.
But
I like that. Well, I mean, you're very apparent and very visible in the armor that you're wearing. Like everyone knows who you are with the armor you have on.
yeah.
But Kenjin would like to know, what's a good starting project for someone interested in smashing metal and trying to make some armor?
There are a lot of different skills involved in armor making. Enough that it's not so much like one skill set and more like 7 skill sets you just happen to be using simultaneously.
Sure.
The obvious place to begin learning like armor from a practical standpoint is chain, because chain is so easy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But if you're talking about actually like anvil and hammer, hammering it out, I don't know if I started in a good place necessarily, because I just kind of went right into it and
Sure.
didn't really give any consideration to what's easy. But I would say trying to go for the simplest version of things that express specific concepts is important. My arm here is kind of an example. This was like one of the first things I made, and it took like 3-4 complete overhauls to make it usable. But in the process, I ended up learning a lot about how joints are supposed to move, and that ended up helping my like connection to that a lot and teaching me a lot. And if you can get good patterns, which armorarchive.org, I want to say, the site is Armor Archive anyway, is the important part. That has great patterns if you want, for people who are just looking to get into it, or people who just don't like conceptualizing their own patterns. That's a great place to get started if you're looking for basically like instructions on getting into it.
Okay.
The biggest thing I would say is just to get into it with some kind of project you can easily salvage, because it's probably going to go south the first time you do it.
Mhm.
Just to get into it, to kind of start getting a feel for how metal moves and how metal needs to articulate to actually be a piece of functional armor.
Okay. So I was going to ask, is there any chance that maybe after the episode you could put the link for that site in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead.
So
oh no.
Hmm?
I was just saying, oh no, I stole your chain of thought. Ooh.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I took a second to post the link in the Dragonspine server because I forgot to
Oh, okay.
up until this time. Yeah. If you're thinking about actual what's easiest to do, I would say probably something like just a simple spalder. Like,
Okay.
this is very, very simple. This is just 3 curved pieces of metal and then 1. I didn't make this, but it's very simple is my point. 3 curved pieces of metal and then 1 differently curved piece of metal. And they're connected by leather, so they don't have to actually be intricately articulated.
Okay. Okay, interesting. All right. Well, Kenjin, there you go. If you want to start with that, we're going to get to the question where we ask Icthea if she does commissions or not. Because if the answer is yes, then I'm sure, Kodiak will just start saving money and being like, "Hey, I don't want to do the project. I don't do arts and science." Because, well, that's not true. That's not true. But he says as he declares to be the regent of the kingdom. Anyways, Jake would like to know, what kind of paints would you recommend for your armors?
So the armor I have right now, this is pretty much, I forget the name of the type of paint. This is basically just like the standard metal paint you can get from Home Depot.
Okay.
My comments on this are that while it sticks to the metal well and it looks pretty good, I mean, assuming you want to look like a stormtrooper, because I kind of do. While it sticks to the metal well and it looks good, you definitely are going to need to do several layers or like prime it very well or just make it more durable, because it will, unless you like the has been like worn through heavily by battle kind of look, which I kind of do, which is why it hasn't been fixed. Unless you're into that, it will wear down heavily.
Sure. Okay. All right. Well, this is a 2-parter. This is going to be Sarai's question with Xander the Reaper's question. Sir Xander the Reaper's question. Sarai would like to know, what's your favorite thing about making armor? And Xander just wants to throw out the question, why is your armor so fly?
My favorite part of I'm going to answer this as 2 questions.
Okay.
Because it kind of can be for me.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite part of the armor making process is actually making the patterns and drafting those out. That's really fun to me.
Okay.
There's a lot of precise measurements, but also a lot of room for like flexibility to try to make sure things will line up even if the measurements aren't quite right.
Mm-hmm.
And they aren't always going to be quite right because I'm not an engineer and I don't want to calculate the 1/64th of an inch that the metal is going to stretch when I'm hammering it out.
For sure. Kenjin would love that, by the way. Kenjin, that 1/64th would get Kenjin very excited.
Yeah, that tracks. I can see that. The second part I'm going to answer is basically what my favorite part of learning to make armor has been. And that has been the actual amount I've learned from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're looking to try to figure out how to make an armor piece and trying to figure out what the actual components of an armor piece are so you can start making it yourself, mm-hmm. The first and best place you're going to start looking is going to be like historical examples.
Sure.
Because they work, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And so going into those and trying to recreate or trying to create something along the lines of those is really helpful for figuring out why they work and how they work, and kind of extrapolating from there what armor actually, not what armor is, because that's obvious, but what the functional necessities of armor are.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's say hypothetically, Icthea, you knew a certain bear who's also a show host, who's roughly the same size as you. Roughly, I think you might have me by an inch, but
are you roughly the same size as me? I actually didn't. I don't think I stood next to you when we met.
Okay. Well, I'm going to assume because I think I remember us being roughly the same size. How? First off, do you do commission?
Uh, as much as I would love to say yes, I barely have the free time to work on what I've already got down the line.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. Well, then the second one doesn't matter. We'll wait until the answer for the first one is yes, and then we'll talk about the second one because I feel
We can talk about the second one if you want right now, just to figure out what's going on.
well, given your level of work, how much time it would take, what would you say a set of Ichthea's armor would cost?
That would depend very heavily on what exactly the armor was.
Okay. Okay. I see a future where Kodiak eventually turns to the dark side and wears metal armor. Because that's where the story's kind of going with Kodiak, that he's kind of becoming more of a civilized like warrior of the kingdom versus being a like feral caster of the outside. So
yeah.
But okay, all right, well, one day maybe we'll get to talk about that. Or if you know anyone who does personal armor that won't make me pay $5,000, I might be willing to listen to some conversations.
Okay.
Let's keep moving forward, though.
Sure.
It's another question that has another bear pun in it, so it stays in the game. Let's talk about what would you consider to be the bare necessity of Amp-Guard that new players should focus on?
So there's a lot of very obvious questions, like getting your own garb. That should be priority number one, probably.
Sure.
Getting your own weapons should be a pretty close priority after that. I would say after that point, though, because those two I think are kind of obvious. I would say after that point is when I think you should really start looking at the classes and trying to figure out not just what they do, because you can ask anyone what they do, but trying to figure out what you want to do with a class.
There you go. There you go.
What kind of position you think you would enjoy being in, and how to achieve that position with any given class. Or not any given class, because obviously you can frontline on Wizard, but you're really not going to enjoy it after a certain level.
You would have to be pretty good with that sword if you're going to frontline a Wizard. So let's just put it that way.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and also never forget as a new player that Monster has a whole bunch of different things you can play inside of it. I know Dragonspine has a pretty good reputation for goblins being very important, like across our kingdom in the monster realm, but I'm playing. I was playing before this last break from COVID 2 here. I was playing Infernal Descendant for my story. I love Infernal Descendant. You know, it's got some spells to it. I still have the Ankh that Baldur gave me when he was the champion of the kingdom, and I use that as my terror symbol for Infernal Descendant. I get to use a flail when I want to be a non-human, because flails aren't people. Still strong belief on that, Sarai. Sorry, but so yeah, so Monster, always look into that too, because if the classes feel like they're limiting you, Monster has a couple different varieties that change it just a little bit for you. My 2 cents.
I think Monster can be kind of controversial, but with Monster, the fact that it's very, very clear, very distinct, and very set in stone what you get, I think also helps if you're still learning the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like you look at some classes and it's just like, oh, well, this is just a modified barbarian, or this is just a modified archer, or this is a modified assassin. And it's like, well, this was fun. Maybe I should learn about the base class now because I had so much fun with this monster. I don't know. I just always keep Monster in mind is what I'm saying.
I think that's a good idea.
Icthea, still would like to know if you could tell us a little bit about your personal heraldry.
So I wouldn't say it was a spur of the moment decision, but the basic idea behind that was that. So my favorite crusading order is the Teutonic Order, but I don't I don't want to emulate that straight on for several reasons.
Sure.
And for a few other reasons, I didn't want to just put the Iron Cross onto my armor. I was hoping to go for something that would emulate that kind of and be similar. I was originally planning on having it be white and yellow, and then I realized just the straight white looked pretty good at least in my opinion.
Okay.
I like how it looks a lot.
For sure.
It's pretty simple, but that's the basic explanation.
Okay. Awesome.
Also keeping it simple so I can put it on armor is important.
Yeah. I was gonna ask that, but you got to it. It was well, and also, being able to transfer it to the armor has got to be pretty crucial.
Yeah.
So Cato gets to keep having this question on here, not because the trend is that people are agreeing with him, but because Sir Manthax, the current monarch of Burning Lands, sorry, Chijima, you're the monarch of Dragonspine, also asked this question. Back shields for V9. Icthea, what do you think?
I think before we talk about back shields, because I think that's a not a done to death question, but I think it's a question that a lot of people already have opinions on.
Sure.
I think what we need to really bring into the game is dual wielding shields. And I'm not talking you have a shield in the Madu. I'm talking you have no weapons. You run out there with 2 shields and you die.
Okay. So like Shieldman the class.
Yeah. I just want to use 2 shields.
Okay.
Similar to going out with a buckler, a dagger, and full plate, I just want to go out with 2 shields.
The moving tower. Okay, got it. Okay. Cato. Apologies, folks. The cough's still there. Cato, if you can get 2 shields approved, you might have Icthea's vote for back shield and V9. Just saying. So Cato's second question, of course, there is to flurb or not to flurb.
I think it's heavily dependent on context.
Okay.
And I think, like, if you're in a salt box game, going full flurb is probably going to get you weird looks at best. Like trying to roleplay why all of you are in this box and why all of you are so mad about being in this box.
I don't know. Some of the salt boxes I've been in at PV just inherently make me mad. So
they kind of do, yeah.
It's like
there's a reason for the name.
Hey, unknown, I'm in this box. I'm not very happy about it. Yeah, for sure. Okay, fair enough.
So I think there are contexts where going full on can be a lot of fun, both for you and everyone else there. And I think being ready to go full on is not necessarily important, but valuable in terms of just being able to have fun in the game.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think
not all the time.
Not all the time. It shouldn't be your default permanent state.
Okay.
It can just be a state you're happy to slip into.
Okay. All right. I can understand that. I can feel that. That being said, like if I can do a voice, I like doing a voice. I like screaming. But
doing voices are a lot of fun. And I kind of love playing zombie because I'm in such a weak position already that I might as well just walk around going,
For sure. Zana would like to know, are there any rain themes that you would like to see? This question typically addressed to like, hey, Kingdom Monarchs, if you don't got an idea, I have ideas. What do you got?
So there have been a good number of rain themes I've seen that I've liked seeing. There have been. Ultimately, I'm not sure how to go into this hard, because I think you could execute like a My Little Pony rain and like a 13th century brutal battlefield death everyone dies rain almost the same.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they could be equally as fun for the same people, except though that said, if you do have a My Little Pony rain and everyone starts dying, a few people might be off put.
Yeah, but if you're doing a 13th century everyone must die raid, you might have some people who are off put too, like you have the good, you have the bad, and then Sir Sane will finish the rest of that when he sees this video. Da na
Yep.
na na. So Morgan would like to know, what's your favorite AmpGuard event?
Due to only having been to a very, very limited number, I'm going to answer Maze Maze right now because last year that was incredibly fun.
The last one?
Yeah, the last one I had a great time.
That's awesome. I get so prideful about when everyone left the maze and they were like, Kodiak, that was a great game. I had fun with that game. That was a good game. That made me feel really good because the Naruto rain, I like begged for it. And like I was like, I have ideas, I have plans, and we got to the end of the rain and people are coming out and they're like, that was a good game. Had fun. Like, yes.
It
Love
was
it.
a lot of fun. The games were great.
Yeah, super happy about it. Good. I'm glad you liked it. I'll keep trying to do stuff like that in Kingdom Office. But we'll talk about that at the end. Kenjin would like to know, what does your perfect AmpGuard event look like?
I think I'm at the point right now where I've been to a limited enough number that my perfect AmpGuard event is an AmpGuard event, and I'm there.
It's sometimes it's that easy, right?
To try to answer what really makes me enjoy AmpGuard events, though, because I feel like that's a more productive answer. I really enjoy large, like, I enjoy big games, as I've said. I enjoy spread out games, and I enjoy games with a lot of people. And that's part of why events are a lot of fun to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you start getting above a certain threshold of people, that's when certain things become possible that otherwise just wouldn't happen.
For sure.
I really enjoy like terrain limitations, and while like game mechanic terrain is cool and I like that, actual physical terrain limitations, that's very fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I really enjoy getting to meet a bunch of people with very different perspectives on the game and very different perspectives on things I already know about, because it kind of expands my worldview, and that's really nice.
Totally agree. Yeah, I would say that my favorite AmpGuard event currently is the next AmpGuard event, whichever one I'm going to. Yeah, which it might be Emerald Hild's mid-rain for anyone who's paying attention, because that just got posted. Ren, I might be there. We'll see. So Zancho would like to know, what would you like to accomplish in the next few years of your AmpGuard career?
So I try not to put my specific eyes on an award in particular.
Mm-hmm.
If I am thinking about that award, I try not to think I need to get this award by blank, but I try to think, why don't I have this award and how can I change that?
Mm-hmm.
In that field, I would kind of, not that I necessarily feel like upset, like I deserve it, I've been robbed, I've been denied. I would kind of like to get to Paragon Warrior at some point.
Sure.
Ideally before I reach my end goal of getting 500 credits in Warrior.
How close are you for credits?
I think I'm at 130 right now.
Let me check real quick. All right, so you want to have it before you have 500 credits in Warrior. You have 137 as of this recording.
Okay, that's a little higher than I thought.
I try to keep the orc open for every player just in case something like that happens. That's cool. I'm sure you'll be able to attain Paragon Warrior well before you get to 500. I would hope,
I hope so too.
Given your efforts and whatnot, before 200 would be even very obtainable, because that's still a year plus of time. Yeah. So
it's hard to prove whether or not I deserve it or not with no fielding. But when we actually start getting out, I hope to start showing better and better progressively.
Absolutely, that's great. I love to hear it. I hope to see the progression. So we're in the second half of your questions. Are you in any fighting companies or households?
Now, households, I don't know if the answer is yes or no. Ultimately, because I've been doing this for long enough and I started young enough that like other people my age would be like, we should totally found a household. And I'd be like, yeah. And then I don't know if they went through with it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So households, not in a way that matters is the answer.
Okay.
And fighting companies, no.
Okay.
I'm generally totally unaffiliated.
Free agent here, folks. Anyone who's watching KOK is looking for a member to join a fighting household or company, or a fighting company or a household. I don't know if Icthea is looking for any, but there's a person that has no ties. No ties.
I tend not to look. I tend to I think if someone wants me, I'll base whether or not I join them more on what the group is like than whether or not I want to be in a group.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. For sure. Okay, Shroud Stars questions finally here, KOK viewers. Since it's been asked, I love the question. Shroud Star, reach out. Please let us know you're okay. If you could create a ladder award that doesn't already exist, what would it be for, and what would you call it?
I think there's a lot of good. I think the ladder awards cover most things that they need to cover, at least right now.
Sure.
I would probably split. I think it's. Correct me if I'm wrong. Armor falls under owl. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Engine, yes, I believe yes.
I think it could also be given Garber defending, which is kind of awkward, but kind of also the case of a lot of things.
Sure.
I think I would probably split that off and give it its own section, just for straight clarity, if nothing else.
So if Dallin got what their way, and Godric and there's a movement on KOK where we're just going to keep splitting all of the masterhoods into all these little things separate, and then only have one knighthood. So there's like 25 different ways to become a master, but there's only one knighthood instead of having these paths for knighthood, so that we can really hone in on character being the knighthood part of it and skill being the masterhood part of it. I think that's I'm not going to take credit for the movement, but I'm starting to back it a lot, because why not? I mean, what do we got to lose?
I can see the idea, but I think I think I'm unequipped to have a strongly held opinion on it, given that I'm neither a master nor a knight.
Hey, first of all, if you play Amtgard, you have the right to have an opinion on it, and it's a fun topic to talk about. As many of my friends are aware, it's what I talk about. It's my thing. Anyways, we'll move on so we don't turn this into a 4-hour conversation about knighthood. If you could change one rule that's in Amtgard right now, what would you change?
Oh man, there are a lot of great contenders. There are a lot of things that I imagine are probably going to end up changed that I don't necessarily want to go in on. Any answer I give is going to be related to armor in some way.
Sure.
Except for one, which is that I don't think starting to post should prevent you from moving on your knees afterwards.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like you should be able to post, go down on your knees, and then get back up and post again later. Because it feels kind of just like a punishment for people who want to post in the first place, saying, you choose to do this, you don't get to move ever again.
Okay. That, I bet you have a lot of supporters in that if you were to broach that game wide.
Yeah.
I just think you would. Okay.
I don't think it's a great way to handle it personally. So
awesome. And I think that's a reasonable rule to look at. Okay. Godric asked this question a couple weeks ago. Godric likes chaos, so we're gonna offer it out. If you had to remove one of the knighthood belts, which one would you remove and why?
Oh, honestly, I'm not. If I dead had to, it would be a hard decision. Is the first thing to say.
Sure.
Because I do think everyone who's, well, not looking at individual cases because I'm not omniscient. I don't know if there's someone who got knighthood through some mean, shady way, but I think every knight I've known and every knighthood I've seen has been justified.
Okay.
But I think if I had to choose, and keep in mind with me that my understanding of the knighthood paths is not the strongest in the universe.
Okay.
The path like owl and such are under.
Okay. So your serpent would be the yeah.
That would be what would get the axe for me. Not because I think those people are undeserving, but because ultimately I think that's the path that's the least directly connected to Amtgard.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. That might be a hot take. I'm just saying, because that's
it's fair for it to be a hot take. But
wow.
I'm also not, again, I'm not the ultimate authority on knighthood, and I don't have the page open. So if someone wants to call me out on this, I will humbly accept.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Icthea, I want to tap into your time in the game. You've been playing for quite amount of time. You've got to see some people who are up and coming. Can you just point out a couple up and comers that you've seen?
I know he's been called out by name before. Apple's definitely one that comes to mind for me. He's got a lot of confidence that really helps him push forward in a battle game sense, and helps him have a lot of impact. I don't want to say despite his despite his lack of skill is inaccurate, because he's not unskilled. Despite his lack of experience.
Sure. Apple's relatively new to the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he is. Other than that, just from what I've seen training with him one-on-one and running fighter practice, Folas has made a lot of improvement. I don't think he's been brought up, or if he has been brought up, it wasn't on the episodes I've watched. He's made a lot of improvement recently, and in general, I think he probably doesn't get brought up because he plays exclusively support druid. Which isn't the best way to show off your stick skill.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a way to not be noticed as far as up and coming goes, is play support.
Yeah. And then Leon, and I believe his brother's name is Dimitri, have both improved a lot. Leon in particular kind of impresses me because it seems that you can look at him and you can say and you can talk to him about a class and he's like, yeah, I'm vaguely interested in this class. And you're like, oh, cool. What do you think about it? And then he'll describe to you in detail exactly how he thinks every single one of the abilities will work and should be used in a battlefield context. And he's right almost every time.
Cool.
I think I talked to him about how he was interested in Warrior, and I talked to him about Warrior, and basically instantly I kind of recognized that he already understood basically everything there was to understand about the class.
That's good. That's great to hear.
And he was at level 1 still.
Wow. I like that, because I don't know much about anything when it comes to much, but having someone that knows the stuff like that, that's always good to hear. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Battle Knight is relatively new. We've had our first reign and a half of getting a chance to give out awards and see it. What's your thoughts on Battle Knight?
It's something I haven't formulated a lot of strong held opinions on yet. I do think it's the sort of thing that should be in the game. I think the difficulty with Battle Knight stems from the fact that unlike a lot of not unlike a lot of other things, there are a lot of things that are awarded that are super hard to quantify.
Sure.
But it is super hard to quantify.
Mm-hmm.
It can be really difficult to tell, is this person really, really good at battle gaming, or is this druid player really, really good at battle gaming, or did everyone forget to take the spell?
Well, it depends on what kind of druid you play, because if you're playing Kodiak's Dirty Druid, Dispel doesn't hurt you.
Fair. But you get my idea, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. it's very hard to tell what ends up being a matter of skill with the classes and what ends up being a matter of kind of stumbling into it. And I don't think that anyone who has a certain number of orders of battle or a masterhood or anything shouldn't have it. I think that we've done, at least with Dragonspine, I think we've done a good job on recognizing where people are at generally.
For sure.
I just think it's very, very difficult to understand the actual position that a lot of people should be at. And I think it's very easy to look at the battle award and see like suddenly people are getting 8th orders of the battle in day 1 or something like that and be like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But I think it is an award that should exist at the very least. And it's an award that we'll become more comfortable with as the game goes on.
Absolutely. And it puts me on a soapbox here for a minute. If you think you're under awarded and you're not reaching out, like the kingdom can't, former king, been in kingdom office a couple different times, trying to get back into kingdom office. If you think you're under awarded, you need to say something. If you know someone who you think's under awarded, you need to say something. But generally, the kingdom catches that stuff. The people are putting the effort in to try to get people awards are seeing that. But if you're noticing people that are falling behind, do something about it. Sorry, had to get on the soapbox for a second because I really want people to have awards.
I understand. I try to give out awards for other people when necessary. Not when necessary, when I think it's a good idea, when I think they deserve it.
Sure.
I find it a little bit difficult to self-recommend at times, mostly because like it's really hard to see. I think it was Daniel Avedon who said something along the lines of alarm came up. It was Daniel Avedon who said something along the lines of that, like when you look at another artist, you don't see the effort they've put in, you only see the end result.
Yeah.
And it can be super hard to contextualize your own efforts in comparison to that. And on the topic of battle awards, especially in that, because the opposite's true. It's not just, is this person good or did they stumble into it?
Mm-hmm.
There's also the case of like, is this person kind of weak or is the entire Parks metagame unhelpful for them?
Sure. Well, and, I have the same problem as you. Self-recommendation, very hard. It took Deverick like 6 or 7 like strong conversations where he's like, the award you have earned, stop talking about it. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll shut up then.
Okay. That's a good kind of friend to have.
Yeah. Well, he's that's why he gets to live here, because he's a decent friend. Sure. Better than most, some would say. All right. Icthea, I have 2 more questions before we get to the most difficult KOK questions you'll ever experience. Okay. They're the funny questions. So that's why they're the most difficult. Sir Alucard, we mentioned him earlier. I don't know if you know who Sir Alucard is, but you should.
I think I've heard of him before. I think I've seen him a couple times in the past 10 years.
Sir Alucard would like to know, are you belted to anyone? And if yes, what is your relationship with them? If no, what relationship are you looking for from a belted line?
I'm not belted to anyone. Again, I'm totally unaffiliated.
Free agent.
Yeah. I think my answer is a little bit it's difficult to give an answer here, specifically because I don't know what belt relationships generally tend to look like. Because again, I only have that outsider's perspective.
That's fair.
But at the end of the day, I tend to view myself as a person who's very, very motivated as soon as I find a direction. And I do have difficulty finding that direction sometimes. And if it were the kind of thing where I was getting support, which I assume it would be at least in part, I would like to be getting support in the effort of finding direction and staying on that path. Because all the motivation in the world doesn't make up for not knowing what you're doing.
Absolutely. I don't disagree. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that, you should stay tuned for my 100th episode without giving too many spoilers away, because you might get some insights. Episode 100. I thank you so much for saying that. And last question, you're a free agent for everything, but
Yep.
what night path do you think you're walking?
I think if I am going down a night path, which isn't necessarily my goal,
Mhm.
With how I've been doing things now, I think that's either going to end up being Serpent by just virtue of making a shit ton of armor,
Mhm.
or Sword by virtue of the fact that I've been training really damn hard every day.
Yeah, for sure. Battle game falls in there too, though, right? Because
yeah, it does. Yeah.
Remember, battle game is a path now.
Yeah, I've never been one for traveling, so that's helpful.
Right. Cool. All right, Ithaca, we're at the most difficult questions that KOK will ever have. All right. These are the funny questions. Ithaca, what's your favorite dinosaur?
I think right now, not due to the actual content of the dinosaur, but due to the satisfaction of saying the name, I'm going to go with Megalodon, because Megalodon is just a very satisfying word to say.
Fair enough. You can't argue with the logic there. Ithaca, what's the best kind of dragon?
The best kind of dragon? That is a very, very complex question.
Yes, it is.
For several reasons. But I'm going to assume in this case we're talking whatever kind of dragon you want, so I'm going to narrow it in on D&D dragons, because that's what I know.
Hey.
The chromatic and metallic dragons are really fun. I don't want to say they're overdone necessarily, because they're kind of the basis, so they should be really done. I'm a big fan on 3.5's Draconomicon and their options.
Okay.
And I really like the ethereal dragon.
Ooh, okay. All right. So, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm trying to get this arm covered up with a dragon tattoo, and I was going to get a black dragon on a mountain to do dragon spine and cover from my elbow to my shoulder. But I've been starting to look at astral dragon, because I think I want to have a dragon that's not lumpy, so that I can start the search for my own dragon. And if anyone knows the person who plays Kodiak, you know that if I had a pet dragon, I would be the happiest boy in the world. Okay. Sorry, made it about me again. It's not about me. Icthea, who's your favorite fictional knight?
I don't know. That's a difficult question to answer, mostly because I just don't know. I don't remember a lot of fictional knights. Or more specifically, in the case of a lot of fictional characters in court, I don't remember if they're knights or not.
Okay, fair enough.
I tend to forget.
I just want to point out to you, though, that you've been playing Amtgard, which has fictional knights in it everywhere.
True. If we're including Amtgarders, that's probably not a fair question, because I don't want to look at any given person and say, "You're my favorite."
I don't want to walk up to a real person and go, "You're my favorite fictional knight."
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah, well, it's not supposed to be a demeaning thing, but it is a game, so like I thought maybe, but whatever.
No, okay. It's a reasonable thing to bring up. I just I don't know if I can necessarily I don't want to pick favorites among Amtgarders, because I tend to like Amtgarders on a whole, and I don't want to look at anyone and say, "Yeah, I like you less than this guy."
Fair enough. Well, we like you too. So let's talk. What about your favorite fictional or non-fictional sword name?
Due to satisfaction of saying it, I really like Caladwelch.
Okay.
There's a lot of good sword names, and I think it was, I can't remember for the life of me who said it, but I think it was someone said something along the lines of, like, the longer a sword name is, generally the weaker it is. Whereas the shorter it is, generally the stronger it is. Because if it's like Dark Lord Archimax's Bone Annihilator, well, there's more than one Bone Annihilator, you know? There's a bunch of them if it's got to be specifically Dark Lord Archimax's. But if it's the Throganator, there's only one Throganator, and you know it's gonna Throganate you.
It's gonna Throganate. That's why the best sword name is the Garanara, which is the sword that Kodiak wields. It's possessed by an unknown entity right now that's making me do weird things like fight with sword and board. But you know, story. It's I love my story. It's a great time. Anyways, not about me. I love telling the story though. You'll get to read one if you follow Conquals when they come up here at Endrain, because I'm writing one for Conquals. Icthea. Sorry, Icthea is a place in New York that I used to visit. They're not the same thing.
It's a mistake that happens all the time. It doesn't bother me.
Fair enough. Do you play Magic the Gathering?
I do play Magic the Gathering.
And what are your colors?
Now that depends on whether or not you're asking Icthea, the human being who plays Amtgard, or Icthea, the Amtgard character.
I'll take both answers.
Okay, for me, I want to say it's red, white, green.
Ooh, okay.
For Icthea, the Amtgard character, I think it's just straight white.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was like, I wonder what the distinctions could be. No, straight white. All right. Fair enough. Yeah. What's your favorite color?
In real life or in Magic the Gathering?
In real life.
In real life, yellow.
It's really close to orange, so it has my support.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
Warm colors rise up.
Hey, here we go. All right. Self-serving question here. Is Kodiak more of a Jedi or a Sith?
I'm inclined to say Jedi, mostly because I like to see the best in people, even if I know them mostly through a narrow channel.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, what do you hear if you've got concerns?
No, I don't hear terrible rumors about the horrible things you do in the night.
Ooh.
I just don't know you outside of like Amtgard, so
that's fair. I mean, we're 3 hours away, and I visit not as often as I should. So yeah. I will try to make more visits though. Okay.
It's a long drive. I don't blame you.
That's thank you. All right. My favorite funny question. Amtgard is making a live action movie. Who do you get to play as Icthea?
That's a good question, and honestly, not one I necessarily know a strong answer to. So, funny enough, despite the fact that I'm like actually 6'8" in real life, the Icthea character, I don't imagine her as more than 5'9". I imagine her as relatively normal height.
Okay.
That said, I think in the Amtgard live action movie, I don't wear it all the time because I like seeing and I like hearing. But I think in the Amtgard live action movie, I don't think Icthea takes her helmet off.
You're just a character, and like you could give some well-known actor or actress an unaccredited role in this movie. Oh, I love it. Yes. That's the first person to say that. That's amazing. Yes. Okay. Well, when the unknown actor in your full regale comes out, what is the theme song?
I think that's dependent on context, but I think for the sake of having a cool scene, I think Lightbringer by Pentakill. I think that's the choice.
Okay. All right. Okay. We're in a different universe now. No movie, but everyone has a superpower. What's your superpower?
Mine or Ichthea's is the question.
What's that?
Mine or Ichthea's? Like me, the human being, or Icthea, the Amtgard character I made up the time?
So, I mean, you could give me both answers. I don't mind. Go ahead and give me both.
Personally, it's a question I I tend to think about a good amount, especially now that the most recent thing I've read and kind of obsessed over was a superhero thing.
Sure.
I think something tinkery, which is a term to say like in that specific universe, a tinker is a person who has like specialized in a specific type of technology.
Sure. Okay.
So like a bomb tinker can explode half the city with the contents of the average American kitchen.
Sure. Okay.
I think something like that would be a good choice, ultimately. Because as much as I want to say super strength or something like,
I typically have in my mind when it comes to this question that the correct answer is mind reading, right? But then people say that they could blow up half the city with the kitchen supplies, and it's like, well, maybe I have the wrong answer. I don't know, but okay.
I mean, I think ultimately the ultimate power is probably shape shifting.
Okay.
Because like, but it isn't the choice for me, you know?
Sure.
It's just like someone blows your arm off, you shapeshift a new arm.
That makes sense.
You want to be super strong, shapeshift more muscles.
Yeah, but some people would say that that's the difference between body manipulation and shapeshifting. Which,
well, if that's the case, then body manipulation is just shapeshifting on steroids.
Sure. I like it. All right. Still would like to know, what's your favorite conspiracy? And what's your favorite Amp-Guard conspiracy?
I don't know a lot of Amp-Guard conspiracies. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. It's probably a good thing.
It's probably safer that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of actual
yeah. What about actual conspiracies then?
In terms of actual conspiracies, I think it's very overdone. The flat Earth theory is really funny to me because it's just so pointless. I think the more pointless a conspiracy is, the funnier it is, and the more I like it.
Okay.
Because the conspiracy is something like the whole world is evil and you must destroy everything. Like that's going to have real life consequences. But if the conspiracy is like ketchup isn't really made from tomatoes, they're lying to you, that's funny.
I mean, I'm laughing, so yeah, it must be good.
I think any of the like joke posts where they like riffing on flat earthers where they say like wake up sheeple and they show a picture of some 3D object with the earth textured over it is really funny to me. Like the one where they textured the earth over a velociraptor, that got me laughing.
Fair enough. Okay. So still had a question. It's kind of a joke. I hope it's a joke. How much did Kodiak have to pay you to come on the show?
Joke answer, $5 million. Straight from the coffers.
Listen, guys, I know how to spend the money, okay? I'm gonna bring people I'm gonna bring people on my show that has 30 views on YouTube and yeah, over 96 episodes. Yeah, okay, no, 0. I didn't pay them.
Yeah,
pay them. All right. Okay. Lightning would like to know, would you rather adopt 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
One horse-sized duck, because I just couldn't keep track of that many horses.
Okay.
I love horses, but I can't. That's just beyond my capabilities at the end of the day.
Okay. Well, Stillhat would like to know, would you rather fight a duck-sized horse or a horse-sized duck?
Just one duck-sized horse?
Yeah. Or one horse-sized duck.
I feel like the duck would rip me to shreds even if it was only half that size. So I'm going to go with the horse because they're timid. Well, they're not timid. They're the furthest thing from timid.
Okay.
But they're scarable. That's the word.
Fair enough. Icthea, are birds real?
Which type of bird?
Birds. The species bird.
Oh
no, the familia bird.
Let's go with a very tentative and subject to change. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. This question may or may not break a household apart. Icthea, what's better, Baja Blast or Code Red?
Baja Blast on the virtue of the fact that I don't drink Code Red.
Well, that's your fault. So we don't get to count your vote for Baja Blast because you don't drink Code Red. So
If it
we have
helps, I
to.
don't actually like Baja Blast very much.
Okay, so we're gonna have you try Code Red, and then you're gonna make the right decision, which is Code Red. Anyways, Sir Nikolai would like to know, what is your favorite drink, and when was the last time you had water?
The last time I had water was today, like about an hour ago.
Okay.
And my favorite drink is water.
Hey, that's probably good for Sir Nikolai here. All right, Icthea,
I drink a lot of water. Yeah.
I'm about to give you a set of either ors. Just give me one or the other answers, okay?
Sure.
Here
Absolutely.
we go. Apple juice or orange juice?
Orange juice.
Hot dog, is it a sandwich or a taco?
Taco. Sandwich has to be open on both sides, on all the sides.
What if the shell breaks?
If the shell breaks, then it's a really shitty sandwich.
Okay, fantastic. Ice cream or custard?
I'll go with ice cream because I don't have very much custard.
Okay. Waffle or pancakes?
Pancakes, 100%.
Awesome. Icthea, how much is too much to spend on breakfast?
I would say like more than $10 per person.
Oh, okay. What's your favorite thing to add to a bowl of yogurt?
I like blueberries, but I don't tend to add things to yogurt very often, so I'm kind of boring and going with the only answer that I enjoy.
Okay. All right. Final 4 questions. Here we come.
All right.
I'm actually sorry. We have 5 questions. Is oatmeal a soup?
I don't think so. I don't think it has enough to constitute having a broth.
Okay.
And I think it has to have something. I think it would have, if you made like a really runny oatmeal, first off, it would suck, but then it would be a soup.
Okay, fair enough. Going back to oatmeal, Morgan would like to know, what is the square root of a bowl of oatmeal?
The square root of a bowl of oatmeal. The farmer's blood, sweat, and tears.
Fair enough. Morgan would like to know, can you, with as much detail as possible, explain what the color of the letter F smells like?
Sure. I'm thinking something along the lines of like, you know, the little fireball candies?
Yep.
I'm imagining something like that, but maybe a little more green, like a little bit of the it just rained kind of smell. I think you could get an interesting choice for that particular scent if you were kind of looking at like if you had like a flower that kind of had a cinnamony scent.
Okay.
Or maybe if you just had a flower patch near some cinnamon, that might do it too.
All right.
I think it would really depend heavily on the flower at that point, though. You can't really get a good amount of action out of just a bundle of flowers if you're trying to achieve a specific effect. I think it also, based on the person, I could also see people answering something along the lines of like, now maybe this seems like a universal experience to me, but call me out if I'm insane. Sniffing markers in elementary school.
I think that's universal. I think we've all sniffed at least one marker. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what people expect the red, what people expect the red marker to smell like, I think that's another good answer.
Okay. All right. Morgan would like to know.
But what people expect it to.
Okay, fair enough. Morgan would like to know, if you could meet anyone in history, who would it be and why? Is it Freddie Mercury?
If I could meet anyone?
Yeah.
It is not Freddie Mercury. It's Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc. Fantastic. Last question. Let me catch my breath. Maybe take a drink. If it takes a chicken and a half, a day and a half to lay an egg and a half, how long would it take a grasshopper with a wooden leg to kick the seed out of a dill pickle?
Kick the seed out of a dill pickle? How big is the pickle?
Nope. You get no more information than the question provides.
Okay. And the grasshopper has just one wooden leg?
Wooden leg.
Just one?
One.
I'm going to go with a little under 3 days.
3 days. Icthea, thank you so much for coming on today. If you could just bear with me through some announcements, we'll say our goodbyes.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Drag is fine. We just had our mid-rain. It was online. The king gave out many great awards. Congratulations to some of our new masters of the battle. And Kriv, big shout out. I guys, I really like Kriv, so I'm gonna give Kriv the shout out. The rest of you are super awesome too, but Kriv. After that, Gideon decided to declare his intention to run for Kingdom Champion. So good old Kodiak decided to run for Kingdom Region. That means, you should run for office as well. If you're not going to run for office, you should vote for Kodiak for Kingdom Region. I don't have a lot of sewing background, but I'm going to plan on banking on a lot of food-based challenges and trying to keep it relatively close to whoever the monarch is as far as rain theme goes. So vote Kodiak. We still have a red bubble up. There's some talk with some of the people who are functioning the red bubble about expanding what you can get on stuff. So if you were looking for something like a KOK pin, or if you wanted to get some of your personal stuff put on some items, we could probably get that done. The kingdom is still trying to raise a little bit of money through the team challenges, although we're coming to the end on that. Currently, Deverick and I are going to be eating or doing the one chip challenge, the hottest hot sauce challenge, ice bucket challenge, the pie in the face challenge. We're going to wear Crocs to the next 5 Kingdom events. You guys are going to get to pick what colors and flavors and styles those are. But if you get us up to $300, my ponytail will go, and it's getting pretty long. It touches my shoulders now. Let's see. I think that's everything. Dragon's Spine Lost Cruises, I believe, is opening this Saturday. I think we're playing some Amp Guard this weekend. So if you're, looking for a game, I think we're requiring, I'll talk to the Monarch again, but I think we're requiring proof of booster. But that's an opportunity for people to start playing again. It's just, we're outside, guys. We have the boosters. It's not going to get much safer than it is because, according to medical professionals, we're going to run across the COVID strand at some point. So we're going to decide to play, I think. If that changes, I will probably say something. Icthea, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I really hope that you can get to the free time to where you start commissioning, because I got some ideas. Yeah.
If you're ever looking to, you can message me about that and we can talk about it at the least.
For sure.
I don't know if I can make any promises, but I always love to talk about it.
I mean, I know nothing about it, so it would just be like I'm thinking at some point I'm gonna want to wear, or Kodiak should be in armor of some metal variety as like a symbolic gesture of his growth. But who knows? Anyways, again, thank you for coming on. And until next week, this has been Kingdom of Kodiak, and I'm Kodiak. Goodbye.